Welcome to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Incorporated. Thanks for tuning in. Today's video is going to be about guard when punches are coming at you from the guard. I got 5 different control positions. It's very applicable for street defense, but more importantly, when you're in an MMA fight and someone's in your guard pounding away, I got 5 control positions that you can flow from one to the next. Stay tuned, I'll break it down.
Let's go! Yeah.
Here's a look at control position number 1, and let me just add a bit more detail and tightness to it so you're more effective with it. So instead of, it's head and arm control, so instead of grabbing the head with the palm, I want to grab the head with the crook of the elbow and have a nice tight bite on the head. With the hand, I want to come underneath, and again, with the crook of the elbow, grab the upper bicep. And I drive my elbow down, and I drive my elbow down. I'm controlling the head. I'm trying to go ear to ear to avoid head strikes with this hand. And this arm is eliminated to get striked. So the reason why I want to control this arm is to eliminate strikes from this side. The reason why I want to control the head is because if he postures up, now there's more space. Now I always want to eliminate space in a striking situation. So I bring my knees forward, control. Now he can only really move one limb. So as he slaps my rib cage, go ahead, slap it for training's sake. So from here, I just shrimp out of the pocket. Now that target is eliminated while I still maintain my control position. So for control position number 2, it's a shrimp, and this hand will slide all the way to get the wrist. A common mistake is people will let go of the head and now start fishing, and now there's space being created. So it's important that when I reach for this wrist for control position number 2, that I slide down the arm and I feel. I bring the shin at the crook of the elbow. I control the hand. That arm, I no longer control the head, but that's okay. I bring my knee up behind the shoulder. I control both arms and I stretch. Something you may not see from your view, but there's a lot of pressure, and I'm immobilizing my training partner so I'm not getting striked anymore. Let's break this down again. Control position number 1, head control, arm control. Deep bite, and bring my knees up to control, and I'm ear to ear. This is control position number 1, very fundamental. He's only got one limb to move, and he's only got one target to hit. So once that target gets hit and he's moving that limb, I shrimp to the side, knee up, and I'm controlling. I've removed the target. I still got control. Now I'm going to control the other arm. I grab the wrist, knee inserts at the crook of the elbow. I still have a good strong overhook. The knee comes to the shoulder, and I've immobilized, and now I'm in control position number 2. After a while, he may start squaring up with me. As he starts squaring up, I go to control position number 3. Control position number 3 is feet on the hips. I still have this arm. This hand is at the tricep, and I've removed punching ability. Everything that I'm doing today is just to prevent getting striked. So from here, if the grip loosens up, I go to number 3. Both feet are on the hip. I control the wrists. Knees are nice and wide, and I'm far from getting punched in the face. I want to make a point of letting you guys know that this is intermediate jiu-jitsu. I'm not talking about how you should be shrimping the hips, how you could potentially go into different submissions from your control positions. So if you've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for over a year, 2 years plus, this will really get into your game. If you're fairly new, it may be a little bit far-fetched to understand the concept. So just a disclaimer that this is intermediate Jiu-Jitsu, and that these control positions are not meant to control someone more than 15 seconds. you may be in a control position and then all of a sudden they're freeing up. You have to transition to a second control position, to a third control position, and so on, and go back to the beginning of the circle. So these control positions are just meant to prevent being punched to the face, and then you have to start applying either a sweep, a choke, an arm lock. There's different submissions, or you transition to a different control positions, but as long as you're not getting punched to the face is the main focus of today's video. Let me review the 3 control positions, and I'll flow into the 4th control position. So again, number 1, let me push away to get a deep overhook over his arm, control over his head, bring my knees up, I'm ear to ear. Now he only has 1 limb, I only have 1 target. I shrimp out, remove the target altogether. I feel the arm, grab the wrist, foot at the hip, pressure, knee together. He happens to be more muscly and come around. I put the other foot on the knee and I control the arms to prevent being striked. If all of a sudden I'm here, so now I'm in control position number 3. He happens to free an arm. All of a sudden it's like, oh boy, now what do? I just change the hand, grab the tricep, foot on the bicep right here. And then I stretch him out, pull the arm out, make his arm weak. And now I'm in control position number 4. There's a lot that goes into control position number 4. If he flares his arms up, I point my foot to the ceiling. If he brings his elbow to his rib cage, I flex my heel to the rib cage and I bend my ankles. If he goes up, I push. If he goes down, here. Here's another review, 1 to 4, and I'll add the 5th control position. I go to number 1, I'm ear to ear. He strikes, I shrimp out. I go to number 2, he squares up. I go to number 3, both feet on the hip. All of a sudden I lose grip, I can transition here. He frees up an arm, I transition, and I'm away. I can't get punched. All of a sudden he frees up both arms. I go to number 5, hold on. Number 5 is I squeeze my ankles together, foot is at the back. Go ahead, I cover my face, and at any time, I bring him back in with a strike as I cover to go back to number 1. These 5 control positions, as you flow 1 through 5, is a fundamental drill. You're supposed to focus on the tightness, the angles, the leverage you're supposed to have to minimize the space he needs for the punching. The idea with 1 and 2 is that you bringing him nice and close. If you're nose to nose, toes to toes, there's no space, he can't strike you. If he's creating space, either you lock him up in the center or you bring him away. You can't have him in the middle and not control his arms. If you can't do that, you need to go to number 5. Another point I want to make is when you can work it as a cooperative drill, 1 through 5, fall back to number 1, go 1 through 5, fall back to number 1, and so on. But when you're doing live drilling with this, it can go from number 3 to number 1 to number 5. It all depends on how it works out and what limb you have in control and so on. So in real life, you don't have to start at number 1. You may start there's no order. It all depends. What you need to have is a lot of sensitivity where you can flow from one control position to the next as it's the appropriate one. So let me break it down for you one more time. Here's what I want to talk about. If he's nice and tight, I want to bring him nice and close to control position number 1 or 2. If he postures up when I'm doing gi rolling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this is normal. I'm going to try to work and he's going to try to pass my guard. This is not where you want to be comfortably when there's striking involved, because right here he's got gravity against. I don't have gravity working for me, it's working for him, and I'm in his striking zone. So this is not the area. This is a no-go zone. So it's either I'm bringing him in for control position number 1. If he's here, I'm either going to control position number 3 or control position number 4, or if I can't control him, is I push him away altogether. So go ahead and slap me. He's not in range to be striking me to my head. So it's so important to understand that either if I can't control him in the center, if I can't bring him in the If I can't bring him in tight, I have to push him away. Here's a quick review. So bring him in, nice and tight. He frees his arm, and now I'm covering. The control positions, again, two main things I have to worry about or to keep in mind is where to be, where to push them. You don't want to give them that leverage or space for them to strike. That's one. The control positions are not meant to control the person forever. You're supposed to either pull the trigger on a sweep, pull the trigger on an arm lock or a choke, or get up, or transition to another control positions if they happen to be very aggressive and want to move out of the way. So you got to be able to be a step ahead or able to pull the trigger. Don't rely on those control positions just to control them forever. These control positions you're not gonna kill no one with this, but let me illustrate a couple of submissions or sweeps you can have with different control positions. I hope you'll like. I'm gonna use the triangle choke as one example. So from number one, it's just the main concept for number one is just to make sure I'm ear to ear, I'm taking minimal strikes and damage, and then I shrink to my side. I go to control position number two. So from control position number two, as he postures up, I control this wrist. As he postures up, I just bring my knee up, and then I work control position number two to a triangle choke. For the triangle choke enthusiasts, let me show you number three. Triangle choke from control position number three. So I'm in number one, I transition to number two, I'm over here, I grab the wrist, he comes back to the center, foot on the hip, and my knees go nice and wide, I'm controlling his arms. I slide to the wrist, from here I keep the foot on the hip, there's no striking to be done from here. So from here, I transition to number four with the foot on the bicep, or I bring the arm in, I lift the hips up, and then I finish while still controlling both wrists. Triangle choke from control position number four is I'm in control position number three. I may want to set up a triangle choke from control position number three by putting the foot on the bicep, on the shoulder to either, my options are I go for the triangle choke or I'm setting up from control position number four. So from here, if I lose control over this arm, I grab the wrist, 2-on-1, foot on the bicep, and from here, as I'm flaring with this arm, and if he goes underneath, then I bring him in and get the tap. I use the triangle choke as an example where it comes about in different control positions. I can do 2 or 3 more different videos just on arm locks, sweeps, how to get back up to your knees, but this video is just more to get you to understand the control positions, and once you're able to eliminate the space, once you're able to get a lot of tension on a limb, stretch them out, however you need to control them to prevent them from striking to your head is the focus of this video. I may do one later on where and I just use the triangle choke as an example and you'll come up with your own submissions. You'll see if you're already at an intermediate jiu-jitsu level, you'll understand and you'll be able to see certain submissions and sweeps and back takes that are available to you. So practice this with a cooperative partner. Make this a repping drill at the same time. I hope it becomes part of your game and it helps you out, and I look forward to seeing you in the mat soon.
Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard. Whether it's the beat of the mic, he feels so unlike everybody else.